Horvat.
I feel like we kind of have to start with Horvat.
All right. Yeah, I mean, we do, don't we? I don't want to, but okay, Alex, we'll talk about this in a few different ways, but I think we should start from the Vancouver perspective. They do retain a bit of salary. I believe it's 25% of the deal.
Hmm.
And basically, and this is the tweet, we all know how it starts in Vancouver. Yes, I'm stealing that joke from Steve Dangle, but it's a good one. How every tweet starts with Vancouver Canucks GM Patrick Allvin announces that the team have acquired it's not former, god damn it, Adam, forward, I can speak, Anthony Beauvillier. Apparently it's Ratti. I thought it was
That's
Atu Ratti. Really
so did
not. He's
I.
Finnish, so it's weird. So, yeah, Anthony Beauvillier, Atu Ratti, second round pick a couple of years ago,
Oh yeah,
second round pick.
yeah, yeah.
People were saying for no, he was in
Well,
like
he was supposed
52nd.
he was supposed
He was like top five a couple of years ago.
he was the number he was supposed to go first overall, and then draft year he just fell.
Oh God! And then unprotected, sorry, top 12 protected. Alex, I swear to God, I'm going to get it together here. We're going to do this one more time. The
Okay.
Vancouver Canucks trade Bo Hornet at 25% retained to the New York Islanders in exchange Anthony Beauvillier, Atu Ratti, and a top 12 protected first round pick in this year's draft. If that pick ends up in the top 12, the Islanders can choose to keep it, and then it will be transferred to 2024 for the Canucks. And in that case, that pick will be wherever the chips fall. But we'll find out as we go throughout the year. Okay, it seems to be the word around is the big part of this trade for the Canucks. They do like Atu Ratti.
Mhm.
Okay. And the Anthony Beauvillier thing is interesting because he is, I think, 25, 26,
Yep.
which is the sort of hockey trade player that Jim Rutherford has been looking for. But they also get the pick and a young prospect who
Yeah.
is a center.
To be fair, like
What do you think of the return overall?
I think it's a good return. I know last episode or a couple episodes ago I talked about the lack of precedent for a trade like this. I feel a bit embarrassed because I missed two major ones from last year.
I've seen one of them, so I assume I know what one of them is to you. So what are the two you're thinking of?
The the Andrew Kopp trade to the
What was
Rangers.
that?
Morgan Barron prospect, a first
Yeah.
and a second.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then Claude Giroux, which was a first, Owen Tippett,
Yeah.
and a third.
Okay, that's a fair one. Well,
So-
so basically, and let's make this clear. Patrick Allvin jokingly, plainly said they could pretend they got 3 first round picks out of this
Sure,
in a way, which is kind of dumb because they didn't. But
they did it. But I don't necessarily, like, from Vancouver's perspective, I don't mind the deal. Like, I think, sure, could you have gotten more? I don't know. Like, am I a general manager? I don't know what other teams were offering, but I would argue that is a fair return for Bo Horvat. Not, first off, let's be clear. Yes, it's dumb that they didn't let other GMs talk to him prior, but considering the circumstances, I think that's a fair return, considering you can, if things work out for one Mr. Anthony Beauvillier, they could then go ahead and flip him. He does have another year on his contract.
and you are referring to by talking to him before him and Pat Morris about an extension.
Yeah,
which would help value, but apparently Jim Rutherford is against the thing of apparently destroys any leverage you have. I'm not going to get into that, but whatever. The question is always asked about trades like this, and I think mainly we think of the Taylor Hall deal a couple of years ago to Boston. Could you not have waited a little longer and see what was it like what was it? Taylor Hall was traded like the day before the deadline or the night before. It was like him and Jeff Carter were traded like in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And people were sort of saying, you could have waited and then all that type of stuff. I think you may run the risk of maybe, every day you play closer to the salary, sorry, not the salary cap. I am all over it today, Alex. I am
It's
so
okay.
sorry.
It's okay.
After you get close to the trade deadline, that's another game, risk of injury. I get it. Um, Listen, I think if you see this as, let's ignore what Bo Horvat is this year, and we look at, okay, let's say it's fair to say, let's say Bo Horvat is a 60-point center,
Hmm.
maybe 70 point on a good year, and can score you between probably 25, 30 goals, or I don't know. I in my head earlier was like 27 feels like a good marker. I don't know his career totals. Obviously, this year is the outlier, and that's the problem. The Canucks have had contract negotiations. If it's a rental, I like it. I will say, if the Islanders do get an extension done, would have liked to have gotten more. And this obviously does rely heavily on what happens to Atu Rati,
Hmm.
as a part of it. First round pick will be fun, but Rati's pretty important. I'm assuming he's the long term center they see in the point.
So I just pulled up.
So see if you're pumping
Oh, sorry.
tires and saying, he could be technically a first round pick. So I know I gave an awkward pause there. That's on me.
No, no, all good. I pulled up Bo Horvat's stats. Yeah, 25
Yep.
to 30 goals. Like last year, he had a career year 31 in goals. He's now already hit that in goals, but that's so he's gonna surpass that, I assume, obviously, this year. But
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
general idea. 60 point,
Mm-hmm.
30 goal guy.
Yeah.
Um,
And there are worse, damn good second line center on if you have someone elite in front of them too. It's not
like
bad.
Matt Barzal.
Yeah. Well, if
Right.
do we have the debate Barzal elite? Maybe
Um,
that's a summer debate, but I think we got to
I
start
don't know.
asking.
Like he's getting paid like an elite center, or he will
That
be.
is true. Well, to be fair, so is Ryan Johansson.
And yes, yeah, that's that's definitely fair. I don't know. I could definitely make the argument for, but I feel like I could make the argument for Matthew Barzal. Um, now, like again, the issue with Barzal is he's played the last 4 years under an extremely defensive coach, which
This is true.
will limit his offense. Like he does have 43 points in 51 games this year.
Just point per game.
Yeah. And like when did Barry Trotz come to the Islanders? What year was that?
It was the summer Tavares left, right?
Yeah, no, I don't remember what summer.
2018?
Okay, perfect. That makes a whole lot of sense. So in his rookie season, Matthew Barzal had 85 points in 82 games.
Yeah, and he hasn't hit since, has he?
You know, now to be fair, 2 of those years were COVID years, so it was a tad unfair to expect that. But
he was behind Tavares for one of them as well.
The year he got 85 points.
Yeah, but it could be a thing of who was really getting the better matchups.
Oh, sure. Yeah. 100%. But like he does have the ability in him to score. I would argue he's the lead center, but that I think is a bit besides the point for this conversation. But yeah, I think, do you want to talk about the Islanders or do you have more about the Canucks?
I don't have anything more to say about this trade for the Vancouver Canucks. I hate that there's more that we need to talk about with Vancouver in a second, but I'm done speaking about them.
We have more about okay. I feel like I missed something, but
just a quick thing with Brock Besser. Let's just talk about it now.
Okay.
Darren Dreger on Trading said a Besser deal basically hinges on how much Vancouver are willing to retain. And Vancouver basically told teams, okay, you give us the best offer you have, and we'll see if it makes sense for us.
Oh, okay. So nothing new.
And everyone keeps saying Minnesota, but it's like, does that make sense really? For Minnesota, it doesn't.
You don't think so? Why not?
I feel like I need to know what Brock Besser is. And no fault of his own. It's just injuries have happened, and I don't know. Yeah, maybe it's a bit more depending on what I have to give up and the salary retain. Yeah, maybe it's a little better, but right now, it's difficult for me to see a deal and a structure that makes sense. And I doubt the Canucks would do 50%. That's the only thing I see.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
That's the thing is like for me, knowing the ego of some general managers, I would absolutely think the Minnesota Wild would be like, well, he's from Minnesota. we're gonna fix him.
Yeah.
He's gonna be okay here. But again,
I wouldn't
you
be
never know.
surprised if they did too.
No,
I
yeah,
mean?
exactly.
I don't know who his centerman would be, but
Matthew Boldy. I don't know. Okay. We'll see.
is Boldy a center?
Yeah. Well, they
So
drafted him
they're
as
like
a
Joel
center.
Eriksson Ek.
Marco
Ryan
Rossi.
Hart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Wherever they've got. Oh, he's been in the AHL.
Oh yeah.
He's been apparently getting his confidence back there. I saw. Good for him.
I saw Jesper. So I know we need to get to the Islanders, but I do want to bring this up. I saw Jesper Wallstedt was rookie of the month or something like that.
Oh, he was insane. Like 955 save percentage.
Yeah, and he was like 6-0. I'll never get over the Oilers trading down, but that's fine. We will ignore that.
I remember coming on the podcast after that draft, and the first thing I said was, "Why in the world did the Oilers not draft Mills?" I can't talk. I'm a mess today.
Okay.
I'm so
that's okay.
Did you see the people that were comparing his stats to Sebastian Kosa's? And Kosa was like, ripped apart in the ECH.
Yeah, he's not having a great year.
Oh, it is bad. We don't have to go with the numbers. We just say ECHL. God, okay, he's a young goalie.
They take
it's
time.
Different. They got to be okay.
Look at Sam Montembeau. He's having a Vezina season.
I mean, yeah, that's cheeky. I mean, yes, advanced numbers say he's good. It's funny. In Dom Decisions' his player card, his market value was like $5 million. I'm like, what? The model loves Sam Montembeau. I mean, they've got a chance to win when he's in net, which is strange. Man, Jake Allen. I
almost picked him up last night in fantasy, but I didn't.
Yeah, good thing you didn't.
I know. I was thinking.
Very good thing you did.
Okay, the Islanders. Before I distract us again.
I don't get it.
You don't get it?
I don't get why. I don't, Alex. It's just funny that this is the move that Lou splashes for. You know what I mean?
Well, no one was talking about it.
In a vacuum, I look at their center depth and I'm like, okay, Barzell, Horvat, and Pajot, and I'm like, okay. There's something. Listen, there's a lot wrong with that lineup, and Horvat is a scorer. I get it. I just don't think you're in a position where you're a team that. I just don't think you're good enough to do that. Without, if you get an extension done, great, but I just don't get it. You're not good enough to make this kind of move yet.
So
or you're not back at where you.
Yeah, sorry. From my perspective, I look at this similar to Montreal from a couple of years ago, or for almost the entirety of Marc Bergevin's tenure, to be honest. If they get into the playoffs, they are going to be a problem. That right? Like when you have this. I'm going to call him the third best goalie in the NHL, in Ilya Sorokin. That might be high praise. I don't care. He's on my fantasy team. I bump him up a little bit.
Numbers do say that he's probably the best this year.
Yeah, he's been pretty good, right? So that, goaltending can win you a series.
It can get you to the finals.
Right. Like, I think even if they squeak into the playoffs, and you know what? They're probably going to have to play Boston. That's just the reality. And if they get to the first wild card spot, they're going to have to play Carolina, who, oh my God, they have taken a lead in the Metro, by the way. But besides the point, they're going to be a problem if they make the playoffs for whatever team they play. And I think that's what Lou's banking on here. Did he give up a lot to do it from their perspective? Yeah, but I don't think Lou cares.
I mean, he doesn't.
I don't
know if it's official yet, but isn't he in the last year of his deal?
That's what I remember reading, but I'm not sure. Can I also just say this is the man who traded in back-to-back years, two second-round picks and like 4 prospects for 100-year-old Brian Boyle and Thomas Plekanec. With all due respect to those 2 players at the time they were brought in,
Plekanec was good for you. Don't disrespect him. But he was good when he got put in the top 6. You can't deny that. He was great. I watched those games.
Great. Okay. No. I'm not gonna listen. Fine, not great. Let's not overdo it.
When he was in the top 6 with Nylander,
not
he looked great. Fourth line did not look good. Did not work.
Well, what did they brought?
Didn't think about the role.
Yeah, they did it. Okay. That's my point, right?
Hey,
Like
disrespect the tournament.
he does not care.
No, he doesn't. Listen, if this is the last year of his deal, I'm gonna really have to question Islanders ownership to let him make a move like this if he doesn't have a contract. Um, yeah, kind of like the Habs giving up first for Dvorak when Bergevin was everyone knew he was gonna go to LA for something. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, can we talk about that? Yeah, I gotta double check who was it. The Hurricanes drafted? No, Arizona. Yeah, Arizona. Yeah, never mind. Man, what a dumb GM. How anyone thinks he's good at his job is beyond me. Is beyond me. Also, shout out to not Dubas, also to Lou for trading a first round pick for Alexander Romanov.
Yeah.
That's always a fun.
That's so funny.
Turned him into freaking. Abs turned that into Kirby Doc. A great trade by Kent Hughes. But Bergevin, you can't trade for young centers. What a loser.
I'm very disappointed in the Islanders and the Canadians for allowing the Blackhawks to draft Frank Nazar. That's what
Yeah,
I'll
and
say.
you think I
That's
thought
what
on
I'll
the
say.
draft floor. I
That's what
wasn't
I'll say.
happy. Horvat did, by the way, in his media availability, said a few times he wanted to be a lifetime Canuck.
Dude,
He thought he'd be a lifetime Canuck, which I'm sure fans were just heart ripped out their chest like Indiana Jones on the Temple of Doom.
yeah, that's
That was
crushing.
I feel, and apparently he will be okay. He will be at the All Star game. He will be wearing the retro reverse jersey for the Islanders. If only this was last year, and they had, or the last time retro reverses were around, and he just wore the one that looked like the normal home jersey. But he'll be there, man. He'll be there. It's just dumb. It's silly. I get he should go, but it's just very interesting to see.